Hello, welcome to Follow Everton. I'm Ryan. I'm here to react to the Ancelotti news. Firstly, I'm on my mobile at the moment doing this, so I'd like someone in the comments box, please quickly confirm whether you can hear me and see me and everything's working. So it's come as a really big shock, and for me, this is a huge disappointment. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This couldn't be any worse, really. I mean, you're talking about a manager who we've brought in to compete with the elite teams in Europe, and the first sign of any sort of opportunity that appears more glamorous, he's off. And firstly, I'm really disappointed in him for leaving. I know that some people will say, "Well, you can't turn down Real Madrid." But there must have been some kind of assurances in this contract when he signed for Everton that if a team like Madrid came in for him, that he would stay. I mean, he's here for a project. We're paying him an awful lot of money. And I'm pretty sure when we brought him in, it wasn't, you know, on the basis of perhaps him going to depart at the first opportunity to walk away. To me, this stinks, not just from Carlo, but also from the club themselves, who, again, extremely naive from my perspective to not foresee this. I mean, he talked a lot about being happy in Crosby, but from my perspective, there's no comparison, obviously, with from Crosby and Madrid. The style of the living conditions, there's just no comparison, really, and you can't blame him for going on that basis. But this has left Everton in a really precarious state where I feel like we're kind of repeating ourselves. Um, like the past 18 months are repeating themselves. And we're going through this endless cycle and circle of false hope, bringing in a player who supposedly is a big name, who is a big name, getting all excited, winning the transfer window, only for it to fall flat on our face and to be left, quite embarrassed. Um, Everton of today proven that we're not a big club. We're not a destination club. We're a mess. I look at it and see Marcel Brands has had 3 years at Everton, and he signed players like Iwobi and Delph. His recruitment overall has been poor. And the reason I say that is because if it hadn't been poor, we would be sitting in 12th or 13th, or struggling in 10th place season after season. So the recruitment's been shy. We still haven't implemented the style of play, and I think that has to come from the director of football. What does he want his teams to be? The recruitment strategy is muddled, completely muddled. I don't see any sort of longevity in the planning. And we seem to just be going around in circles. And I want people's reaction now to this. Are you disappointed to see Carlo depart? And what's your situation? I hope very shortly we're going to have Basil, who's also part of the channel, joining us to come on. And but it would be interesting to see what the comments are with regards to this. I'm going to do a little switch now. Just going to try and come off the mobile device, just going to think it is lagging a little bit. I apologise, the camera is not going to be great today. It's very off the cuff. So bear with me 1 second. Hello. Test. Let's just check this works. Okay. So I'm booting off now. Bear with me 1 sec. Can someone confirm whether they can hear me in the comments, please? Can someone confirm? The club statement actually has said that Ancelotti would like to thank Evertonians for their support, and I have complete respect for everyone associated with Everton and hope they can achieve something. Exciting opportunities he talks of. I don't quite see that. I think he's left us in an absolute limbo situation. He says he's been presented with an unexpected opportunity, which is the right move for him and his family, which makes me think this is There's a lot more to it. So I'm waiting for some comments. I want to know what people think about this. Are you shocked? Are you disappointed? Are you pissed off? Where do we go from here in terms of finding a new manager? Do we go down the route of a young upcoming manager, or are we going to go for another big name? There's talk of Conte. I mean, I think that just seems to be rumours on Twitter at the moment. Eddie Howe. I mean, for me, that would be regression. It just proves, where we are as a club. We have got one comment from Dave. I'm going to bring him up, David. David says, I'm happy there wasn't any improvement. We finished 10th. From my perspective, it had gotten to the point where the style of football was that bad that we needed some sort of. It would have been probably a bad thing that we finished maybe in 7th or 8th, because it would have papered over the cracks. We did need to kind of suffer a little bit to get a reaction, but certainly not this kind of reaction. I thought maybe would show that we're not that good and we need investment if we finish 10th. Not that the manager would guide us to 10th and then fuck us off at the first opportunity. But I think, Conte. I think what I'm going to say about this is I'm feeling really deflated. I'm not going to lie. But when I look at it from a more rational point of view, probably tomorrow morning, I'd say that, we finished 12th and 10th, and these are an expensively assembled group of players. And I know there's a lot of talk about, he's been signed from this manager and he's been signed by that manager. But at the end of the day, they're international footballers. We've got France left back, we've got Colombia centre back, World Cup winning players, Golden Boot winners. We've got international footballers, and he hasn't got the best out of them, and we still don't have a style of play. We've not looked convincing in pretty much any of the games. I can't remember looking at this Everton team and thinking we've been completely dominant, maybe apart from 6 or 7 games at the start. Just going to come to George. He's a friend of the channel. Very surprised by the news today. I think we'll struggle to get a manager of the same calibre as Ancelotti. George, I mean, on that note, what type of manager do you want to bring in? And, can you think of anyone in particular that springs to mind? Maybe someone we haven't heard before. I think a lot of the names are being recycled from previous years. David Moyes. Some of the names of players as well, managers, seem to be like it's some sort of April Fools. You're talking about Steven Gerrard and, Steven Gerrard. I mean, it just shows how out of touch the club, the board are with the fans. There's a fact that he's on a short list, or Lampard. But David's actually saying his style of football is dead. I know I sound like a cop-eye, but we need someone like Gerrard or Lampard. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up going to Duncan Ferguson, which for me would be bad because he's kind of been here for all the failed regimes. And I think maybe it's time that he moved on now. I know that's not a knee-jerk reaction, but he's been here and we've achieved nothing. And he's been first-team coach. George is saying from December, even when we were winning games, I wasn't impressed by the style of play. And that didn't improve. I did expect more from Ancelotti to motivate players. I wanted to believe he would. I mean, George, I think this is spot on, really. I mean, even the games we did win, it was through battling and maybe nicking a goal from a set piece, grit and determination rather than through quality. I very rarely have seen quality football in the past 18 months. And what I want to know is how much of an impact has COVID had on this? Has that really, caused issues with the transfer funds and the overall project? And it's a real shame that we've had probably one of the best managers in Europe at a time when we've had no fans in the stadium and we haven't really been able to invest the money in the right direction because we're still playing catch up from the Steve Walsh era. And I guess that is going to be what people think about on reflection. Kenny, hi Kenny, saying he likes, is it Joachim Low? There's talk of Ralph Ragnick. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to suggest. Conte would be an incredible signing, but again, you're looking at a lot of defensive football. Talk of Pochettino as one, but I think he'll go back to Spurs. But if he doesn't go to Spurs, I think that could be a really good option for us. Another one who I think is more likely would be Nuno Espirito Santo from Wolves. But again, we've seen the regression and the over-reliance on their centre forward, Jimenez. So for me, he's shown that he can't adapt to injuries, a bit like we couldn't this season. So I would be concerned about going down that route. George is saying sign the attacking players and play more of a philosophy that will suit the players next season. But I think he would have struggled to get through next season if things didn't improve. There were some fans now already, I'm just going to bring this back up. There were some fans already saying Ancelotti out. I don't know how serious they were and if they're kind of those fans with the knee-jerk reaction. And when it comes down to it, they are actually upset when he has gone. But another 6 months of what we've been doing, potentially he would have been hounded out anyway. I think there's a lot of people upset about this right now, understandably. I mean, I'm just looking through the comments and coming through on Twitter as well. But you got to remember, this is Everton team. We did finish 10th and 12th the season before. He's had 18 months in charge. There's no style of play. I'm trying to think of some sort of other way of spinning this, that maybe it's a blessing in disguise and it hasn't worked out. And the only thing Ancelotti's been able to do is kind of look to tried and tested players rather than find gems. I know Godfrey is definitely a gem that we've unearthed, but even he is a bit raw, as you saw one of the last home games of the season where he kind of just left. Was it the Sheffield United lad to score? So he's raw. We haven't unearthed any gems. Ancelotti's wanted, and here's a good point actually. Maybe Ancelotti and Brands were on a different wavelength. It's Brands. If you look at his track record, he's never wanted to bring in players over a certain age. He wants young players to develop. Whereas Carlo probably doesn't have the time for that. He wants here and now success. He's won things. He's had instant success, and he's not going to be patient enough to implement that. And what I would say is the thing that winds me up the most about this probably isn't that Ancelotti's gone. It's the fact he's kind of spun this thing where he's like, I want to stay for life. I want to see Everton in the new stadium. And he's just fucked off. And there'll be Liverpool fans and football fans laughing at this whole situation. And I don't blame them because I think it is like a soap opera. It's like some sort of comedy show. We're an embarrassment of a club. And I wouldn't be surprised if fans completely disconnect from Everton after this. I mean, it's bad enough that we now have a red kit and now this. And I think on a side note, Richarlison's off. 100%. No chance he's playing for Everton next season. He looks unhappy. I reckon he'll go to Spain and Real Madrid will probably sign him. Kenny saying, I think the board meet to blame. Board Brands wanted under 28. Yeah, we touched on that. Carlo wanted ready-made players. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't think COVID is too much to blame. In normal circumstances, the home and away form would just revert back. Transfers, we did still sign 5 players, but lack depth and quality. George, on that, and obviously the listeners, I think important to recognise that we only had the players, all the new signings only played together once. I think it was the Sheffield United game at home. So never at one stage. I don't even know whether James played that. I don't think we've had them all fit together at any point in the season. It's been very much, Decore injured, missed 12 games. Alan injured, missed at least 12 games. James, I think he only played 20-odd games. He's another who I think will be off in the summer because I think Mina could potentially be leaving as well. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I don't know where I was going with that comment, to be honest. Yeah, the 5 players, we haven't had them all at the same time fit. So I'm putting a little bit down to injuries. I'm putting a little bit around to finances. I think a general unhappiness. I mean, let's be honest. How many of you here would rather live in Crosby over at Madrid? Yeah. David saying, I think Godfrey will go with him. No, I'm not sure he's ready for something like that, Dave. I think he's come here a stepping stone, like a lot of them. And a lot of them thought they were coming for a stepping stone, and they haven't moved on to bigger and better things because they haven't been good enough. Kenny Sale, I just read Carlo wants Digne with him. I agree. Carlo's comments leave a sour taste about how he wanted to take us to the new stadium. Yeah, I think we've been all fucked over and misled, and I wouldn't blame any of you if you didn't give a shit. And now we just have to watch this drama unfold. And no, I don't trust Everton to get the decision right. I think the recruitment from players says it all. What is it with managers coming here and then landing these huge jobs after mediocrity? Look at Koeman, look at Martinez. So I don't know what to say about that. They seem to be able to get away with murder here and then go on and get, arguably bigger jobs, more important jobs. But yeah, I don't trust them to get it right. And I think fans' patience is just all over the place. It's always after the thought, though. It's never, there's no backup plan. There's no contingency. I mean, surely this could be foreseen. He's a big name. But what is he doing here if he's going to walk, for a job like that? There's bound to be a job like that. Shame. Don't think all the players linked with now. Fuck it. You know what? Absolutely fuck it. And you know what? I'm going to have to get off now, guys. It's winding me up talking about it. It's making me feel a bit ill, to be honest. Guys, thanks for watching. Drop us a like if you're watching on Facebook, please. It supports the channel. And make sure if you haven't subscribed already on YouTube, please do so. And I'm sure we'll have a more in-depth reaction with some of the other boys from the channel at some point soon. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye now.